recorded. We
Oh.
probably should have happened 20 minutes ago, but that's why I record all my Zooms. Like I record all of them but okay. So let me just recap for the sake of recording. On the plant landing page, there'd be the logo, the new logo. Then there'd be the vision statement. Then underneath, there'd be what's new. And that doesn't have to be its own header, but it doesn't have to be a real header. But there'd be the what's new section, which at this moment, it will be the latest episode of New Church Hacks.
And I can see after that, we would do General Assembly kind of promo.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I talked to you yesterday about this class at Phillips, you know, we got to create a promo. So all those different things, because it's always going to be a New Church Hacks webinar episode to exploit. So that's going to be, we have to make decisions about that. And then the home page, now all the previous recordings will just lie on the actual New Church Hacks sub menu, which also noted is a landing page for the newchurchhacks.com URL.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we're still on the landing page for newchurchministry.com or .org, whichever one it is.
It's .org.
.org. And then of these, like, I don't know what this quote is. Forget that, all of that. None of that copy stays. New Church.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Debbie, have you run this by Hope Partnership people? Is that okay if we do away with what they have on the plant? Would they get upset if they'd be like, no, plant must have Hope Partnership, you know?
I haven't run this by anybody, but I'm not real worried about it, but I think there's a way to weave that in if we find out we have to.
Okay.
I keep hearing New Church Ministry is going to be branded sort of as its own. Yeah.
Okay. So they're aware. It's not like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to have to. This is a part of, although we haven't had specific conversations, we being me, Hiberto, and Reisinger, this is a part of it that they realize is a part of it. But then also they're not thinking on a micro level enough to be like trying to control over each element of the copy. They just know that NCM is having its own brand rollout and they are in support of that.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking, I've learned in my time at the church that people are very aware of giving credit where it's due and including, you know, who started what, when, and it's supported by the, and I don't want them to think that we're like.
And I think under the history piece, it covers a lot of that.
For sure.
And that weaves in the Hope Partnership. But yeah, I get the question you're asking, and if we get pushed back at some point, I think it's a quick tweak to copy on the page to weave in.
Because when Hope Partnership was born, this statement was true. The Hope Partnership is passionately doing all these things. Today, in today's era, that's not accurate because from a public identity perspective, Hope Partnership is not.
I mean, this is where we get caught just a little bit because right now, even though we're branding New Church Ministry and all that, it still aligns with Hope Partnership as its general ministry umbrella. Yeah.
It's like the analogy I often use is we don't see toothpaste commercials for Johnson & Johnson. We see them for Colgate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
we are the Colgate. At the very end, you'll see a little Johnson & Johnson thing at the bottom or whatever, but nobody goes to the aisle looking for the Johnson & Johnson toothpaste. They go look
Right.
at Colgate.
Mhm.
So that's all we're doing is highlighting the actual product, and the product is what is exploited, not the parent.
Yes. No. And I remember you telling me that before, and it was kind of a revelation for me at the time, in a way to like streamline, not just Hope, but GSF and so many other church organizations. My thing, I guess, right now is that we're still on the Hope website. That
Right.
would be true if we were on the Colgate website or for the new NCM website, but for all things aside, we're still on like the Johnson & Johnson website. So that's why I was like,
Which for that matter, which Johnson & Johnson don't have to say Johnson & Johnson a million times on their own website because you're on Johnson & Johnson's website.
true.
So we have to say Hope Partnership a million times because we're on Hope Partnership's website. We're not on GSF's website. We're not on the General Church website. We're on Hope Partnership's website.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Hope Partnership doesn't need to speak in third person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
But Nadine, I get what I think the root of your question is. We're on the Hope Partnership website. Then we're talking about New Church Ministry does da 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 da.
Yeah.
And as a new visitor to this, I'm thinking, well, what does New Church Ministry have to do with Hope Partnership? Why is it here on the Hope Partnership website? What's the connection between New Church Ministry and Hope Partnership?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine. We can, like on the main website, a homepage, there is a line, as a general ministry of the Christian Church, blah, blah, blah. Hope Partnership is home to New Church Ministry, transformation, blah, blah, blah. I think we can just do that on the landing page so people make that connection.
Good. That's good. That's a good point.
Yeah, I do. I think that makes sense. Yes.
And it's, if they read through the history, it says the way that Hope Partnership took ownership of the New Church movement.
Yeah, I don't know
think
how many.
Having it front and center before you dig into history.
Yes. Yeah, because not many people are super. Yeah. I would love that. I love all that, but I'm the only one. I know this is such an aside. I'm the only one who read the full history of DCEF. That big book that they gave me at orientation. I don't know if you know it, with like that weird sculpture on the front and like.
I know that book well. Yes, I had to read it page to page because.
Oh, you read it too?
Yeah, I kind of had to. Back in the day, I helped put it together. Okay. So, and that is way back in the day.
Yeah, there was like 3 whole paragraphs on like the typewriters that they used and how they, and then there was like one sentence, and now we're on the interwebs, and I'm like,
All right, so New Church Movement, this link here, and the priorities are all lumped. The content is on the New Church Movement drop down.
Yep.
Spiritual discernment is a subset under the resource so it's plant.
Yep.
It goes to resource that goes to spiritual discernment. Leadership Academy has its own subnav page, and starting churches manual that can go as a resource, that PDF. And
so down the road, if we have New Church Ministry success story kind of things, where would those go?
I don't even really want to have that conversation about this website because because we're going to figure out, we're going to have the opportunity to really decide how to put those types of things. I mean, like, I have ideas. I'm sure we all have ideas about the answer to that.
But in the short term, you're not worried about it for this site.
No.
Okay.
Right now, we're just cleaning some of this.
I get you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Leadership Academy. When you rename this subnav, take the date off.
Yep.
We were thinking of keeping it in 2 places because it's an NC. It's hosted by Hope, but it's an NCM, that whole thing. So we were thinking of keeping it, let's see what I said.
Also under participate.
Yes. Yeah. So it's going to be under the plant, like we discussed, but also under participate.
Then does it need to come off of, if it's going to be under participate, does it need to be under transformation too?
No, we're going to delete that because, that is the thing with all of these pages is that they all share the information, the little blurb and the tracks cohorts information, but they're all a little different because the one under transform has something about save the date for 2019. The one under plan is for 2018. The one under participate is about 2017, but then it also has buttons for the schedule sessions, LA resources, speakers and leaders, and venue and lodging. So what we're thinking is that we'll try and coalesce all of the relevant information for those 3 separate pages into the one under plant and the one under participate. So from participate now, we would keep sessions. And I think we also said LA resources, right, Debbie?
Yeah, I think that the resources, yes.
Because sessions, and what I want to do is actually, if you click on the button for sessions, that gives a deep dive into what is actually presented in Leadership Academy. And I think that rather than just the deep dive into tracks is what should be most readily accessible to visitors, because right now it just kind of looks like, oh, in the 5 days, we just do these 3 tracks, and it's a bit misleading as well. And that would just go in better too with, the brochures I put together, for example.
Let me jump in here. All of this, and I'm welcome to push back on this, but for the assignment that we're working on in this short-term fix, like none of this content is relevant. Like all of this crap can come down as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with that, because I think having that little bit of info about what people can expect from Leadership Academy is helpful. But all those links to the schedule, the sessions, all that comes right before, a lot closer to Leadership Academy when people are actually registered.
Yeah, this all should have been ghosted immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think maybe a line more about what people can expect in terms of not just tracks, but DOC talks and lead labs. I'm not saying it has to have 17 bullet points like this has, but like, for instance, when you look down here, this is literally what I pulled on the brochure. The first line from this.
Yes.
The first line from that.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
The problem is, reality is, guys, I'm changing this whole thing.
Oh my God, why?
To make your life interesting, Nadine.
So the next one won't have DOC talks or lead labs or tracks?
That's possible. The thing is when I got here, there was none of these things. I changed all of them.
Right. That's right.
Okay. So, question: will there still be a session or some type of thing like that offered where it's group time? Will there still be a session where there's a presentation, and there'll be a session about like interactive workshop? They'll just have different names?
It's possible. This summer, after General Assembly, I'm going to have a full new church ministry team conversation about what Leadership Academy could look like. Mm-hmm. And that also is going to be contingent upon the forthgoing relationship between Hope Partnership and New Church Ministry. Now that basically how we start, if we want to still continue to have a transformation offering in Leadership Academy. So if we depend on which direction that goes, if there's not, then that could give us a lot of leeway to be able to recreate the whole thing. And then remember, I'm also trying to figure out what's happening with Empower. And if I want to create a whole separate national event for Empower. But I'm using some of the content from the Sustain track to inform Empower. Do I need 2 events? There's so many things to think about.
Okay.
Okay, so for the short term, Terrell, can you spend just a little bit of time giving us content for what we should put on that Leadership Academy page?
Yes.
I would be helped by that.
Right now, just talk about those 3 tracks, because that's what we already have publicized. And if anything changes, it'll change it'll change in months from now. But right now, just saying those 3 tracks is sufficient. And registration is not open yet, but.
So keep the tracks information. So that's start, sustain, soar.
Basically, when you click on the Plant Leadership Academy 2008 page.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, remove the registration buttons at the top. Change the save the date to be the 2019 dates, and change the copy to be the 2019 information, and remove the names of the leaders. And everything else is the same.
So should I, in replacing
and also add your new promo?
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Okay, so then that is all the information we need on every Leadership Academy page right now.
Okay, so it'll be the same information under Plant as it will be under Participate.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is
and just in case you ask this later, right there in the copy for the first paragraph, it says the conference is hosted by Whole Partnership. Leave it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true for right now. Just leave that.
Yep. Okay. So the next thing I was going to ask, look at educational resources under resource. Yeah. So if we go to the resources tab, there's a drop-down menu that shows regional, educational, and webinars. And if you click on educational resources, it shows you Leadership Academy resources. Underneath that, missional congregation information, transforming leadership. We need to figure out what we're going to keep there on this page and what we're going to delete and or migrate.
None of this is my content.
Really?
Yeah, this was Gilberto's content.
So we need to talk to him then.
You could, or you could just leave it.
Okay. What do you think, Debbie?
Good afternoon.
I think at some point we need to update it, but I don't know that that's.
Okay.
I don't know that that's where I want to spend a lot of time at this point.
Okay. Great. So then moving on, new church hacks.
Okay, while we're still on resources, so the webinars, I think it doesn't hurt to list the new church hacks webinars here. Do we want to keep these old webinars that Matt did when he was with Hope?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And these initial episodes of New Church Hacks have been very whole church oriented, so none of them were. New Church Hacks is sponsored by New Church Ministry and serves the whole church.
it's much broader than just new church. That's why I think it doesn't hurt to have it listed under the Hope Resources tab, to have it 2 places.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically what I was going to say. So,
And if you wanted a separate, if you just wanted it to under webinars, so resource webinars, and then you wanted a third drop, you could do a drop out to New Church Hacks page, and it would just be land on the actual New Church Hacks page. If you wanted a quick way to add the New Church Hacks content without adding the content to the webinars page.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I mean.
Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for that, just because then we're only updating content there as opposed to in 2 places.
Yeah, I'm just worried about having like super long drop-down menus because, again, so there's some people that are like, no drop-down menus ever. They're horrible. And then some people, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I think in this case, the ship's already sailed on this site as far as drop-down menus. So I think adding is not I would be maybe more concerned about it if that was the only place it was, but since it's also under,
I don't want us to be like, you get a drop-down menu, you get a drop-down menu, you all get a drop-down menu.
Right.
Like.
Well, that's something to think about for our next web project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. True. Cool.
We really are trying to help you focus on the main thing, because we hear and we love all of your ideas. Trust me, they are things that we have thought about,
talked about and
desired for. And I probably could get in trouble for saying this, but there's just some macro elements to every single thing that we are looking far, far, far down the line at, that is kind of informing our decision. That we're not mucking up your brain with. So just like kind of trust us when we're like, no, not yet. Let's just here. So when we go on the resources page, the regional resource page, let's look at that real quick. All of this is fine, except I don't know anything about, like, some of this is not my stuff. The only thing that's mine is this best practices for establishing vital congregations. Okay, so let me slow down. This best practices, bullet 4, bullet 5, bullet. I would remove almost everything past pastoral assessment, which I don't even know what a pastoral assessment is, but all of that stuff below, pastoral assessment, it goes to a 404 page. So,
well, then apparently nobody, because I was getting ready to say, I don't know what that is either.
And then mission pathways goes to the mission pathways page. And I didn't even know there was a new beginnings assessment. Oh.
Well, it just goes to new begin. Yeah.
Okay. So of these resources, regional resources, I feel like this is really kind of a junk drawer for the whole site.
Pretty much.
Yeah, everything is a regional resource. But since we have to have this, for now, all I'm willing to say is remove everything from pastoral assessment down.
Okay.
Now, the best practices for establishing vital disciples congregations, is that anything that needs to be moved under the new church ministry resources, or that just needs to go?
That
period.
thing gets me in the most awkward conversations all the time.
Okay.
And let me
Wait,
just quickly tell you why. I just had a call last week of someone who was looking at this document and said, "Hey, open it real quick, Nadine,
okay. Oops. What's
just so
going
you
on?
can have some context for
I'm sorry, what am I opening?
best practices, bullet 4.
Okay.
Okay, let's scroll down until we see a picture of Rick.
On the front?
No, keep going.
Yeah, and I love how it says draft everywhere.
Yep.
Oh my God, how long is this?
It's pretty. There you are.
Oh my
Okay.
God, look at Rick.
Yeah.
And
So
Nadine Burton.
people who don't
Wallace
even,
Jacobs.
who
Yeah.
not even here anymore, all of this. So this thing gets me in trouble because the other day a region called me and said, "Hey, we have your best practices thing here. We noticed that this is a draft from 2013. Do you mind sending me the updated copy?" No, because there's no such thing as an update. I know this is 2019, but
And really, I think the only thing that was changed on this in 2013 was the date, because I think some of those people were gone by then even. Yeah.
yeah. So it's really at this point doing more harm than good because even as I've tried to update it, I go through and I read some of it. Nadine, please don't ever read it. You're just going to be upset because it's like reading some old manuscript and it's going to be all this stuff in it that just is going to trigger a lot of your progressive ways and ideas because they just said things differently 6 years ago than they do now.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's just 6 years ago, but
Yeah.
And like I'm saying, I think maybe the only thing that was changed was the date. I think this is probably 10, 15 years ago.
oh wow.
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because 6 years ago was when Hope Partnership started,
Right.
and Nadine Nadine wasn't here during Hope, was she?
No.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that answers that about the regional resource page, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then let's go back to transform. Under transform, you're removing the Leadership Academy.
Yep.
Okay. Then under nurture, that's an important thing. Now, when you just click on nurture, it says Hope Partnership coaches walk alongside. This is so stupid, this one page for this.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. So then you have a separate page for coaching. I think that you could, this isn't my call because this isn't fully my site, but I would say you could migrate the content from coaching over to nurture, but nurture doesn't exactly apply coaching. Now, if you're on the coaching page, you notice that there's new church coaching and then there's transformational coaching. I think when they wrote this, and I guarantee you whatever's in these coaching qualifications and processes are outdated. But today we have a different approach to coaching, and new church coaching is probably more like it was then, but transformation coaching is only a product, is only a part of the process of the transformation services. So there's not really, this to me implies that, oh, I can call up and just hire a transformational coach from Hope Partnership. That's not exactly true.
Okay.
It's misleading. So are you following me? Because I know I'm kind of saying a lot.
So who would make that call?
That would be a Gilberto or a Rick. But as far as new church coaching, there almost needs to be like a separate tab for new church coaching because it's separated. But really, it needs to come under the new church pull down as new church coaching. So here's another time where it almost would be doubly placed.
So then are you saying on the sub-nav, that's a fifth thing is coaching?
Or you can make it a resource. It can be on the resource page of the sub-nav.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a resource. It doesn't need its own
Okay.
thing because they don't get a coach without my permission anyway.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I will say on this, the qualifications of a coach and the coaching process, before I want to say before General Assembly last year, Joy and I spent a fair bit of time revamping this. Not to say that it doesn't need to be done again, but
oh wait, this is very now when I read the qualifications of a coach, what this means is that if you're interested in being a coach, here are the qualifications.
right.
But that's not what I understood before I clicked on that. I was approaching this from, I need a coach. What are the qualifications that enable me to get a coach?
Yeah. Okay.
This is more, and as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to advertise the qualifications for how to become a coach, because we only nominate coaches. We don't get people saying, hey, can I go be a coach?
Okay. Well, I can tell you again that that's something specifically Joy wanted there, and she and I worked down through that. So that's where that came from.
That's fine.
That's just to give you background on.
Yeah. And then the coaching process, once pastors submit their information profiles according to coaching with, see, now we're doubling back. Now we moved from to a protege.
To be a coach to here's what's going to happen if you want a coach. Yeah.
And so here, we don't need all these different pages for these different components. I would challenge Joy to write a single coaching page for you to just create one page about new church ministry coaching.
Would you like to have that conversation with Joy?
I can, but I'm going to copy you in on it.
That's great.
Who's Joy? Robinson?
Robinson.
Is she
She's the minister of coaching.
Oh, okay.
She works in California. She's in LA. She's deployed, part-time staff of New Church Ministry. As of January 1, she 100% focuses on New Church Ministry. Because before that, she handled the matching and the coordination of coaching for both Transformation and New Church. But now Michelle does Transformation coaching and Joy does New Church coaching. And the reason for that is because now coaching is a continuation of each of the transformation services. So once you finish New Beginnings, you don't finish it. Part of the end of it is to get 3 months of coaching. And the facilitator of the New Beginnings process continues as the coach. Before they didn't do that. They just got somebody brand new to help you with the coaching. Now the facilitator continues with that 3 months of coaching. So there's not as much of a matching for it as it once was.
Okay.
And I'm just over talking because I know you, otherwise I know what it's like to have to try to figure all this stuff out as you go along. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, not to have any context for any of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember like hearing the name, seeing something about her somewhere, and I was like,
Yeah. So when Joy submits that copy, what is Debbie, can you reiterate what the plan is for how this all what have we just decided how coaching content will be displayed on the website?
I had that we would have it under the resources sub-nav under plant. Is what I have.
So then what goes on the nurture page?
Well, there's that.
Why don't you just make the page coaching that does what you just said, but then if someone actually, and so there would be no sub nav under nurture. But
Okay.
then when you click on nurture, it just directs to the coaching page.
yeah. Huh. Okay, so this is interesting. When you go to the coaching page that appears in the drop-down menu under the Nurture tab, another drop-down menu shows up that has qualifications of a coach, coaching process, fine, because that already appears on the coaching page. But then it shows an additional page, which is called monthly coaching, which does not appear on the main page. Is that what you're talking about? Where like after they do new beginnings, yeah, tier 1 mission pathways.
I kind of feel like I need to have a conversation with probably, I'm guessing, Rick Morse to work down through what the coaching needs to look like on the transformational side, what we need to do with this. But I think for our conversation, Joy developing new content for new church ministry coaching, and then that content goes under the sub-nav resources under plan.
Is your WordPress template so locked that you don't have the ability to get rid of the coaching tab altogether? I mean, the new nurture tab altogether?
That's right. I mean, that is locked in the design. All the sub-nav is driven by WordPress, and in this section, none of that is any problem. But these top navs, my recollection is those are locked down. I can double check that, but I think those are locked down as part of the design.
I mean, again, I don't know what Rick would say, but I can't imagine there needing to be too much content about coaching related to transformation services, because they just are wrapped up in what happens in the whole process. It's not a separate thing anymore.
Right.
But
so yeah, I'll talk to him about that. And this is another place I want to get this cleaned up, but the Hope site as a whole, at this particular point, I'm not really wanting to spend a ton of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think you and I even talked about it.
We did. Yeah, we did.
Completely like.
But I mean, as we talk about what moves where, obviously some of that impacts the Hope site. So it's helpful to have those conversations.
Oh, yeah.
So I say that to say I'll follow up with Rick and kind of go from there.
Okay.
On the Hope part of the coaching. The other thing I need to let you both know, I've got a 3:00 meeting.
Blurg. Okay. So we got through 2 months of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 month schedule.
And Nadine, I don't mean to push you, because obviously there are other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But some of this, I think, can happen more quickly.
Oh, yeah.
than we think it will.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of it we're paring down content. So, yeah.
I mean, I think I only have, I think only a couple more points that I needed to ask him. So
Sure. Go ahead.
we can, oh, okay. Yep. Okay. I'll try and just go through it now. So done with website. Now we're talking about the NCM print materials. First, General Assembly flyer. It said, my note says, ask Terrell how to incorporate NCM into the impact report.
Oh, that was when we were talking about the regional flyers. Yeah.
Yes.
And if there, I don't know, Terrell, what you're envisioning for the impact report, but I'm wondering if there is a way to incorporate Nadine's idea of the regional flyers into that as part of that impact report, since there obviously won't be very many regional assemblies this year.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I don't know if you need anything from me on that, but
I don't, because let me say this. I am freaked out. I don't. I really don't even know how in the world I'm going to get that report written by General Assembly.
yeah.
Well,
I hate that I've even like said that out loud in every public space I could, because now I have to get it done and I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. I'm freaked out.
well,
Okay.
and not to freak you out further, but then your freak out freaks me out a little bit, because I know how slammed you are and how you're going to have time to get that written is going to impact then how we have time to get it designed.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm freaked out too, because I'm afraid you're going to get so slammed it's going to come very last minute. And yeah. So.
And every day I'm getting new calls and new requests every single day.
To be out and about, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
To be out.
Yeah.
So I just need to get this third person hired. Today I met with Ellen. We might not even get the assistant hired until almost March.
Really?
We don't have any time. I'm not going to be here to interview.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
So are you still collecting applications, or that's done?
No, that's finished.
Okay.
We have the top 13 of the applicants, of the 100 something applicants that applied.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's good or whatever. So now we'll reach out and offer them phone interviews. But then when we get ready to like bring them in for interviews, I kind of need to be here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you or not? I mean, well, no, I don't mean that mean.
No, I get where you're going with
in person. No,
well, I was going to say we Zoom interview, so
when I go out of town, I am like, I'm not like just sitting around in a hotel. I'm like,
right. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a way to carve out a couple hour. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. That was okay. Go ahead, Nadine. That was just my little.
No, that's fine. I've certainly gone on more than one tangent. Okay, I know you have 6 minutes, Debbie. So, moving on to banners. So these were the retractable, foldable stand banners. And I understand that, Terrell, you want a wide one.
And I just ordered that.
Okay, then we don't need to talk about it.
No.
But Debbie, you introduced a step and repeat banner.
And that's what we ordered, yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Step and repeat, yep.
And then swag, I think we just talked about the scheduling for that. That's fine. You're going to be taking the lead. But we wanted to touch base with Terrell on just basically looking at the schedule. It looks like we're just going to have room for, I think it was pens, mugs, design tags, and the tablecloth. And then Debbie, you had said that DCEF does pens, Hope does Post-it notes. And I think
That's what we've done in the past, but we haven't talked about what we're doing for either one necessarily for this General Assembly. So that's on my,
Yeah, so I think we wanted to touch base with him on what we were going to finalize. Well, I don't know.
I mean, at some point we can talk about what you would like as far as swag, but that's not something we have to pin down quite yet.
Okay, and then I think that's the last thing then. So basically, there's a whole bunch of reorganizing on the website, which, I can take lead on. That's fine. Once, Debbie, you give me the WordPress credentials.
Mm-hmm. And I think what we'll probably do, Nadine, is set you up as an editor instead of an admin, so that then I can final approve pages before they go live. Yeah,
I was just going to say something about that. So good. Did I overlook anything, Debbie?
That covers everything I had.
Okay, cool.
At some point, though, when we start looking at having a separate new church ministry webpage, one of the biggest hurdles will be choosing a template. So when you have like idle time about that, you're thinking of stuff, and if you're like me, you're thinking of a bunch of different projects at once and taking notes on all of them as you go along. If you create a little sub brain folder for what this future new church ministry webpage might look like or have or function like, feel free to start jotting down notes towards that.
Do you mean like a website?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if you run across websites that you say, oh my God, this UI would be perfect for what I think NCM could function like, then, capture that URL so that we can look at that later. If you see articles about how web design is today versus the way it was, like how it's very search oriented versus copy oriented. That's the big
SEO
pushes.
optimization and
all of that is like side brain information that you can begin to gather.
Okay. Will do.
I have Jose, just guys let you know who Jose is. Jose is kind of like my assistant minister of New Church. He's just not hired. He's a volunteer. So I involve him in a lot of the stuff that I do. He's just not on the payroll. He's a volunteer.
Okay. Josue is the graphic designer.
Yeah. Josue Torres is my graphic designer. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Jose, not Josue.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Nadine, a 2-second DCEF thing.
Yeah.
We are getting ready to launch a special rate for investments.
Okay.
And I'm putting it out on the web on Friday, and we'll do a blast email. But you and I, at some point, will have a longer conversation about what we want to do on social media, because DCEF investments are regulated by state securities commission. So what we can and can't say is locked down really, really tight. And I actually have a question into the attorney right now. The attorney we used to work with wouldn't let us promote on social media at all. So I'm trying to track that down, but I didn't want you to start seeing it on the website or blast email and wonder, well, why aren't we doing a social media push?
And that's just for investments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I get that figured out with the attorney, we'll touch base. But I just didn't want you to be caught off guard and wonder, well, how come we're not doing a social media push? That's why I'm not sure we can yet. And once we find out whether we can or can't, it'll be very, very restricted. So we'll talk more about that, but I just didn't want to catch you off guard.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Terrell, for meeting with us today.
Yeah, very helpful.
Yes, very helpful. Debbie, I know you have to go, so I'll let you guys go.
Okay, great. Thank you both.
Bye,
okay,
guys.
bye.
Bye.
How do I? Oh,
I'll take care of it.
Okay.